Hello and welcome to Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio. This is Stefan, your host, British by birth, American by choice. The Founding Fathers crafted some remarkable documents that led to the creation of a great country founded on liberty and self-reliance. I have lived in the Euro-socialist nightmare, and I'm doing what I can to return this country to the vision that the Founding Fathers gave us. We need to strive to rebuild that shining city on the hill, for without us, the world has nowhere to turn for freedom. For the next hour, I will be presenting news, views, and guests that help keep the true spirit of America alive. And good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever, whenever you're talking, you're listening to the show. I'm sorry, I'm talking to myself here. This is Stephen, your Patriot Come Lately, British by birth and American by choice. Very glad to be here. We've got a very special show tonight. The show tonight is a live interview. I'm going back to live interviews. I've found a way to do it. It's a little confusing because I'm having a little bit of feedback here, but we'll get through it. And the person that's being interviewed today is a regular listener to the show and someone who's been on the show before, but I haven't done live interviews for a long time, and now finally found a way to do it again. So he is waiting in the wings. He is Edward Riepe, also known as Rex, prolific author of the FEMA Camp series and a whole host of science fiction stories. And he's got some more books coming out, so I'm looking forward to talking to him. So I'm going to try and bring him in now. Rex, are you there?
How you doing, Stefan? It's been a long time.
It has. Long time. I think probably 3 or 4 years now since you were on the show.
No, my first time was episode 201. And then there was one in there with me and Marcia around 242.
Yeah. So...
but since then, yeah, it's been a couple of years.
Yeah, definitely a couple of years. So nice to have you back. Just sorry Marcia can't be here with us, but I'm sure she's listening.
Sure.
And tonight I wanted to start off with your upcoming or recent books, and then maybe we'll go back to your FEMA Camp series, which is probably your most successful one. So let's talk about upcoming and or new books. What's the latest one that you released?
Well, we just put out Happy Ebola Day on November 1st, and it's doing very, very well. What's happening is, that's kind of like a prequel to the FEMA Camp series, and there's a real strange story to that. But everybody that reads that, the next thing I noticed, they're buying Starvation Nation, which this book really leads into that. That's the 4th book of the FEMA Camp series. Then they go back to FEMA Camp 37, and then you just see them falling like dominoes. So I probably should have. I had an opportunity to release this 4.5 years ago with FEMA Camp 37. I really had forgotten all about it after Marcia passed. I moved her computer out here to the living room. And she was one of these type of meticulous writers, Her books, she would, make outlines and a synopsis for each chapter and stuff like that, which I never do. And I found a file that said file or storyline. And so I opened it up, and there was half of Happy Ebola Day was done. It was she had gotten through about 76 pages. And so I had meanwhile finished FEMA Camp 37 and popped it on Amazon, and it took off. I was working on 43, and then she found out that I went ahead and put out 37 as it is now, because at that point it was at 220 pages, and adding the two books together made a pretty big book, and I wasn't comfortable with that at the time. So when I saw that, I said, well, I'll pick up on that storyline, and it was good. So I finished up the last 100 pages and put it out. And I'm surprised. What's been happening is a book I wrote 5 years ago, Las Vegas Worm Club, which has no connection with it. Happens, it's kind of similar, but it's actually going to be a sci-fi trilogy. The first book is gritty, things that could really happen. And she had a story outline there for one called the Las Vegas Brat Pack, but that book has been selling like crazy. If I could figure out how to promote, I'd be a wealthy man. But I'm happy. I can't figure it out sometimes. I mean, the day after Trump was elected, man, sales shot up like crazy. So I'm not really sure if I could handle that every 4 years. But yeah, life's been good. I'm not complaining.
And so I mentioned, your most recent book, but also upcoming. You've been working on a book called Capsule for a while. How's that one?
I put that out a month before Happy Ebola Day, and it's doing very, very well. Also, it's a trilogy. There's Capsule 1, and I wrote that one,
mm-hmm.
and then I was on Capsule 2, and I told her to get on Capsule 3. Well, she was one of these type of writers that like these epic adventures, which used to drive me crazy. A storyline of when it's through, it's 500-600 pages on Amazon. We use the big 8.5 by 11 3/4 inch format, and so she got through about 24 chapters, and then what happened. So I went on. I had a lot of friends, writer friends, good friends that came to Vegas to get me through those dark days, and it was basically a 4-month drunk, I guess I could say. And then you kind of start realizing that life goes on. So I sat down and added 4 more chapters and put that out. And it turned out to be like another 500-page something adventure, but that's also selling well. That's the end of I thought that was the end of, and I intend for that to be the end of the FEMA Camp series, those 3 books, because they jump from what's happening in the next 40 years to 3,300 years ahead, and it's kind of a fantasy adventure, but it has some of the same characters in it that were in the FEMA Camp series 3,300 years ago, thanks to cryonic freezing and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get educated. You got to get educated on stuff like that before you write. But that took me a little while, and then, like I said, I was just moping around for a couple of weeks, and moved the computers out here to my writing studio and started poking around. And I saw Happy Ebola Day, but she has about 14 storylines, but 4 of them are very, real detailed. So I'm tackling the final book of the Heaven, what I call the Arcs trilogy, and also working on the Las Vegas Brat Pack at the same time, and the 3rd book in that series should be the final to really both trilogies. I like to intersect trilogies or stories, kind of freak readers out. Never was intended, no grand design, but it just worked out that way subconsciously, I guess.
Well, and I know from past interviews that you, a lot of your stuff, you say, comes to you when you're sleeping, and then you wake up and write down a lot of the storylines down, correct?
It pretty much, I don't have to write down. They come to me when I sleep, and I have 3 monitors set up, and one's called my imagination monitor, and I actually can see like a movie unfolding, can hear it and everything. And I've never had no problems except till recently. And I started, after reading the storyline folder of Marsha's, I was getting, like 2 intersecting stories at the same time. And so about for a week or 2, I was pretty confused. What exactly am I doing here? Till you get to the end of it, and then you see, and her story was pretty good. It's goes from Las Vegas 20 years ahead off the Worm Club book to the kids over 14 and 15. They're middle aged now. They're getting restless, so they decide one day to go Area 51. And the subtitle of that book's called AI Finds Life, and it's pretty good.
Okay.
So I've been tackling that. It's been reading up a lot on certain exotic sciences of the future, but that's pretty good. And then off of if anybody's read Arcs or the Monster Squad or Arcs from Heaven, there's a company called Heaven Incorporated, and you jump ahead 1,000 years in that storyline, and they arrive at the Las Vegas camp that these people live at. It's interesting. Has a lot of possibilities.
Yeah.
AI is going to be the way that's what's going to explore the stars, is artificial intelligence, because humans just can't withstand the time or the travel or the hazard.
Or we have to find a way to travel faster than light. I mean, in theory, it's possible. Just the practicality right now is not there.
Well, I'd say it's akin to driving down a mountain road with a lot of nearby boulders, and you're going just as fast as you can go, 300 or 400 miles an hour. Science has got to go a long way in technology before we start running through outer space.
Oh yeah, it's it'll be a while. We won't see it, unfortunately.
I don't think so. You might get to see some people die on Mars.
We might.
If other than that, it'll be a long time.
Yeah. Did you put your name down yet?
For Mars?
Yeah.
Oh, hell no. I've got my name down to be chronically frozen like that little 14-year-old girl did, and lay me up in a couple thousand years and things are a little better.
Right.
If they are.
Yeah, I think there are lots of rumors that Walt Disney had himself frozen too, amongst others.
That's never been proven, but there are a lot of people that have had that done. People that have the money to do it. It costs you $46,000 to get that done.
Is that guaranteed that they'll keep you frozen?
I don't know about that. That dollar crisis, we might get some cheap thawed meter out. I'm not really sure, but I've been reading articles about it. Actually, there was one that I was reading the other day by a futurist that a person who's living right now will be one of the first people to almost attain immortality through biomass generators or organ growing and things like that. Talking about transplanting brains into grown bodies and with all the memories intact. So who knows? Everything's just popping out all over when it comes to technology. I like the one. Did you read the one about the sex dolls? Good Lord.
No, I didn't.
Oh yeah, the sex robots some guy's developing.
Oh, wow.
Makes your imagination run wild.
Yeah. Well,
they're like in a refrigerator box, from it looks like a box, I guess they can. The videos I saw was pretty entertaining. I could imagine if you ever got wealthy, having a couple of them behind a bar, having some friends over just to freak them out, because they look pretty realistic, actually.
Yeah.
Their facial.
I don't know. That's give me the real thing, to be honest. But you never know.
I'm finding that out in life, man. It's hard to find a good mate.
Yeah.
When you find one, you better hang on to one.
Well, and then thinking about those robots, did you ever see the movie Westworld?
Oh, I've been watching that.
Yeah.
Pretty entertaining. Yeah.
So, that kind of puts me off from that sort of thing.
Well, after you read this next one, you'll just think, gee, there's no difference between them and us.
Yeah.
You can't say they're not a life form. I mean, what if you do have something made of nanoplasma units that have all the memories and all the feeling? Actually, has a beating heart. The blood isn't red, but they can make it so. But comes out a little snow-colored from the hydraulic oil. Who knows, But yeah, it allows for people like me to exercise the imagination. I've got a pretty active one.
Yeah. Oh, you definitely do. Okay, the clock has been running, so it's time for our first commercial. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put you back on mute there, Rex, and me too,
right.
while I take a sip of my beer. Tonight I have a British beer. I have a what's called a Northern Brown Ale, otherwise known most closely to Newcastle Brown. It's that kind of beer. So I got one of those tonight. And in the meanwhile, we're going to play some commercials.
You can lose 10, 20, 30 pounds or more with Maximum Slim's first ever rapid weight loss guarantee. Today, you get Maximum Slim, an advanced fat and carb blocker, absolutely risk-free. The all-natural ingredients in Maximum Slim are a powerful weight loss combination. The Maximum Slim formula turns your body into a fat-burning furnace that supercharges your weight loss. Advanced fat and carb blocker stops the breakdown of sugar so your body doesn't store it as fat. Today, you'll get both of these products absolutely risk-free with no obligation. Only pay shipping. There are no expensive meal plans or exhausting DVDs. Just take Maximum Slim twice a day. It's fast, simple, and now it's guaranteed. Look, you can start losing weight today or not. Go back to your high school days and wear your favorite jeans again. Guaranteed. Call now and get both weight loss formulas free. Call 800-451-0228. 800-451-0228. That's 800-451-0228.
Doc, you gotta give it to me straight.
All right.
'Cause I'm dying here. I mean, take a look at this letter from the IRS.
Oh, my.
This is killing me, Doc. I tell you, it's killing me.
Cheer up, my friend.
Huh?
The tax doctor is here. My diagnosis tells me that you're going to be just fine.
Really?
The tax doctor will not rest until we find you the best possible tax settlement.
Really, Doc?
Guaranteed.
If the IRS claims you owe them $10,000 or more in business or personal back taxes, call a tax doctor right now. We could save you up to 75% if you qualify. Guaranteed or you pay nothing. Call right now for free details.
800-917-8546. 800-917-8546. 800-917-8546. That's 800-917-8546.
You're listening to Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio, broadcast on the internet, and also available at archives.patrickcomelately.us, a proud member of the Red Nation Rising Radio Network. And we're back in the show. Sorry, a little bit of echo there, making it very difficult for me to chat. But tonight I'm letting Rex do all the talking. And let's see if I can... This is a little better. Anyway, so Rex, you're back in the show.
Yes, sir.
We were talking before. You talk a bit more about Capsule, because I saw some pieces of that story. Looks very interesting, and as you said, it kind of links back to more recent times, or times that will be recent shortly. Tell us a little bit about that.
That was kind of... Marcia and I talked about that before even undertaking that, because I knew it was a big story, but I guess most writers go by a formula. It's about family. A lot of mine are. People have read it and believes in God and morality and, good against the bad. But basically, the survivors from Fort Hastings, the FEMA Camp era, they went underground. That's where I left them in the 7th book. And then all of a sudden, you're back there. You don't know really what time frame it is, but there's hunting parties going out from underneath Fort Hasty, but you can't go out because of the radiation. All that stuff. It's not what you would think. Mountain lions are 15 foot at the shoulder, And the Las Vegas Valley is now like a forest, just covered with big trees. And there's been 2 nuclear wars in the past and a lot of other things. But it comes out of that hope, and there's family, and there's one particular family called the Gilmore family, after David Gilmour, who I've written a lot of my stuff to his music. And it goes from there, and basically after 3 novels, you find out that there still is a government installation in Denver that's still doing the same thing that the government was trying to do back that led up to the nuclear wars. And they've survived all of these years too, but they've discovered that you have to have a diverse gene pool to keep things down. And in the end, Marcia had in her notes, the Capsule 3 is actually an anti-abortion statement, but a kind of demure, benign one, because in those days, because of the mutations and the radiation sickness, it's waning, but it's only certain people mutated where they can go outside to get out from underneath a mountain complex. That people, Imp, the character, he's a doctor now. Because he was transplanted into a capsule, a mechanical capsule, his brain. And he'd been in it for like 400-something years. And all the 4 or 5 of the characters from the FEMA Camp series decided to get quick frozen and to be thawed out when things could be some reasonably normal. So 4 of the characters are placed in capsules. And they're just way heavy, but technology is advanced enough to where they look semi-human. And then the first one to get transplanted, they developed for several hundred years what's called biomass generators, where they can grow a human body and without a brain. It's all set together. All you get is play and plug, So they unthaw Zach and put him in the first human body. And you know how the character of Zach is throughout the FEMA Camp series.
Yeah.
And he just goes crazy. But over the course of the 3 novels, all of them take on human form again. And the people start to realize that, well, what if we could do something like that? Can you imagine? There'd be no growing up. There'd be no going to get retrained again, because you have all your memories, all your thoughts, everything. I mean, it's just, you don't even miss a beat. So science gets accelerated. And meanwhile, they find out about the survivors in Denver, and that's FEMA Camp 1. So after they start raiding surviving villages, they decide that, because we're going to do something about it. And they go off on an epic adventure. Marcia wrote a lot of Capsule 3. It was pretty good. And so I left it as such. It should have been divided into 2 books, or should have been 3 and 4, but it's a fun read. And I've had, some people, I get emails all the time. I'm getting hardcore fans,
And you deserve them.
Some ministers really love it, and some ministers kind of makes them feel a little unsettled. But in the end, everything's good. But it's a big, big, big book, and it's an enjoyable read.
And for listeners who have not read any of Rex's books, we're talking about Capsule, but also referring back to the FEMA Camp series, which is Rex's kind of big hit series. And he also mentioned one of the characters, Imp. And when you get to the book, I think it's Starvation Nation, isn't it, the Imp appears?
Yes. Selling a lot of those. People buy Happy Ebola Day, and that is a perfect fit. And I mean, you could go right into that in Starvation Nation, and
But anyway, when you read Starvation
first
Nation,
chapter in that,
read it carefully, and you'll know why I like that book.
Marcia was looking for a name, and I said, "Well, you figure it out." And that was about after episode 201.
It was shortly after that. I was very surprised. But that's why I like the character Imp.
Oh, he's in the Capsule series too. He's
That's
the
what you
only voice
mentioned.
of
So
he's
I'm
the only voice of sanity that's going on through that book.
yeah. Okay.
It's come a long way in 3,300 years.
Yeah.
From
Well, I didn't
Nevada.
realize Capsule was out already, so I'm going to.
There's Capsule 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
Capsule 1's
Okay.
reanimation, and 2 is a big coiled rattlesnake, Land of the Free, and the last one's just called Capsule 3.
Yeah. Well, and
it
a
has
reminder for
the
everybody.
embryo in the hands.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know what those heads are.
Reminder for everybody: Rex's books are always available on Amazon. Usually, also in the Kindle version. That's the one that I normally read. I'm not traveling as much now, so I don't really need to do it. But it's just convenient to be able to get it onto my phone or onto a tablet. I have a tablet now as well, and read it there. I'm getting lazy instead of having to turn pages and things.
Been selling a lot of novels in UK, and then I was one of my sales total like CBE, and I'd say, wow, there's that many people in Denmark that are really into like FEMA camps and stuff like this. And finally got smart. That stands for Germany.
Oh.
They sell a lot of 37s and stuff in Germany. I'm saying, that might be striking the chord there, maybe.
Yeah, they know a little
really
bit
sure.
about camps.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man.
And they may need them again with everything that's going on there.
Well, they're spreading across the globe. They finally opened up, getting sales in Japan, India. I didn't really notice that they translated the books. I'm not really sure if they do, but I guess they do. If I know, Amazon and Marshy take care of that now. Mm-hmm. I'm finding that I have more time, but since Marshall passed, but at time it's been busy, especially since about June.
Well, if you're that popular in those countries, maybe you need to take a world trip and go do some book signings.
Nah, this is my home here, Stefan, Sin City. I've been doing some. I've been addressing some writer groups and stuff. Everybody wants to be a writer. And you go out there and you meet some of them. And I'm in the Las Vegas Writers Group, and that's a good group to be in. But it's kind of freaky when you meet somebody that tells me he's been working on a book for 10 years. So, okay. So I guess tell me about it. And they're sincere in their attempts, but I don't think they realize the competition that's out there. Amazon's popping out 30,000 new novels every day.
Right.
I think it's down to 24,000 now. I've been fortunate enough. This will be this past October 30th was my 7th year, and I've developed a fan base. It's pretty amazing. I get emails from people. I read all 34 of your books. What are you got coming out next? I mean, that was like the day after Happy Ebola Day. I get this email. Okay, what's up next? I've read it.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful to those people. They're making me what I am.
Yep.
But, never saw that. I always thought, I just did it for the fun of it. Now it's kind of becoming a business. Yeah.
Well, there you are. I mean, it's a nice thing to do, and it's nice to share your stories because they are good stories. And I haven't read all 34, but I have read a number of them, and you get lost in them, and you're a good storyteller, Rex. So it's always fun to read.
It's been a little tougher this year, but because we used to bang the stories off each other. She'd write something, and I'd edit it and proofread it, and I'd be writing something, and I wrote a lot faster than she would, so I'd keep her pretty busy. But it was a strange flying solo. This, right?
Yep. Oh, I can imagine, and I would suspect that's why a lot of the people that you've talked about, that are taking a long time to write, they didn't have someone to bounce ideas off. So.
Oh, they used to pour out of that bedroom when she was alive, but right now I'm kind of doing everything. Although I do have one person that has been helping me a little bit on my proofreading, which I appreciate. And
Okay.
I'm having people. I'm having people coming out to Vegas to see me. I'm on their bucket list. What can I say? That's an honor.
Well, you know, you're on my bucket list as well. I've got plans because I need to come out to Front Sight, which is in Pahrump there, and then. But I'm going to come by and see you as well. So bring some beer too with me.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, time for another commercial. So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes rest here again
All right.
while I put you on mute, and I'll call you back in shortly.
All right.
Okay, folks. So just a quick commercial, and we'll be right back.
Patriot come lately. British by birth, American by choice. Just like the Founding Fathers, the voice of the conservative resistance.
This is Stefan, your Patriot come lately, proud to be on Red Nation Rising Radio. These can be dark and depressing times, but Main Street USA finally has a competitive voice to traditional mainstream media outlets, and it's screaming at all hours 24/7, we want our country back. America, it's time to wake up, expose the regressives, and keep listening to the new dominant force in conservative internet talk radio, the Red Nation Rising Radio Network, powered by ICRN.
Not too long ago, it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank, didn't it? For a vacation or a new car. But today, withdrawing your own cash has become risky. Pat Boone here for Swiss America. According to The Secret War, a new Swiss America white paper, I learned that all banks are now required to spy on you and me for the government, and then report any financial behavior deemed suspicious or unusual. You must read The Secret War. It's free. Truth is, I believe the government's new war against cash is really a war against us all. But the secret is now out. So please, get and read The Secret War.
Call 800-516-3405. 800-516-3405. 800-516-3405. Call right now. That number again is 800-516-3405.
You're listening to Patriot Come Lately Talk Radio, broadcast on the internet, and also available at archives.patriotcomelately.us, a proud member of the Red Nation Rising Radio Network. Okay, folks, we're into the second half of the show. Tonight I have author Edward Riepe, also known as Rex, author of that hit series FEMA Camp series of books, which is now stretched to 7 books, and also a number of other books, primarily science fiction. All of them tend to be good versus evil. I like to call, for example, the FEMA Camp, I like to call that the cowboys and Indians of the, of the 21st century or 22nd century, maybe. No, the FEMA Camp's still 21st century, and then, of course, the science fiction ones are also good versus evil, but spanning a much wider time. So I'm going to bring Rex back into the show. Rex, you mentioned earlier how you kind of intersect different stories, different storylines, but often using the same characters or related characters, and they kind of interweave there, which is rather clever. How did that come up?
It wasn't really ever planned, Stefan. It was just the way things worked out. But we started seeing a commonality that was a thread that was running through everything we've written, as far as if you exclude the 2101 Chronicles. That was an 8-book series. And actually, in that series, that was our first effort in the Staff of Joe series at the trilogy. And a lot of people didn't like that because I took a pretty hard line religious approach in that one. I call that my religious year. And in the last story, the Time Loader of God, which is really it's a good story. But in that last one, all of a sudden you find in the Chronicles, the old man, as I refer to him, he kind of sacrifices himself with an antimatter bomb for the bad people, get rid of them. It actually gets thrown in a kind of a time warp tunnel thing, and he pops out, and he knows he's in Chicago, but when he circles around the top on his sky bike, he sees the name Hitler on. And the story takes off from there. It was a timeline where we didn't win. And I make some statements there about it's got a religious thread to it to some extent, but nothing they should. It's more, I guess you could say it's written with a tongue-in-cheek attitude towards some core beliefs. But anyhow, that was one, and so that intersected those series. But then we started looking at some of the other things that we'd written in the FEMA Camp series. That's why Marcia went off and made all these charts. She'd have a list of the book and have a arrow off to the side with a spin-off or something like this, which I wasn't really interested in.
Right.
So I didn't know really what direction. I've always had in mind a trilogy for the Worm Club and for the Arch series. The Worm Club we just finished. I went back and opened that up. I wrote that almost 5.5 years ago. And it was really fun to read again, but the time was off by 4 years. So we're changing all that to 2017 when the dollar crashes and things like that. But the things that were written in there, it was really strange. You can see those things have been happening for the past 2 years in this country.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows what's going to happen with what's going on right now. I don't think nobody really does, although I have a kind of an inkling. And but it's all going to be off the table when that dollar crashes, and that's going to happen one of these days.
Well, hopefully not too soon.
Well, maybe not. I don't know. I was reading a pretty interesting article the other day about we're just one 9/11 away from throwing this country in an economic crisis, and something bigger than 9/11. And what hit me on that was that's when I was working on Happy Ebola Day, and that Marcia had written this book like 5 years ago. The first half of Happy Ebola Day.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think you're going to find a bigger horror situation than what happens on New Year's Day in Sin City.
Right.
If you go through the book, I didn't put no year on it. When you learn your lessons, you try to stay a little vague with dates when it comes to, things that may be happening. If you want a longer shelf life for your novel, but it was pretty interesting, the whole thing of it. I said, man, this is dynamite. Should have been the first book we wrote before we put out all the FEMA Camp books. But actually putting it out like this, once I had all the others, actually I couldn't really finish that novel because Starvation Nation hadn't been written yet.
Mm-hmm.
She hadn't written that. But
yep.
Now that all of them are in place, and actually in the end, right now there are 9 books in the FEMA Camp. 10 counting Happy Ebola Day.
10 of them. So what are the 10? You've got...
you got Happy Ebola Day.
37. Happy Ebola Day is the first one. Then it goes to 37.
Then to 43.
Yep.
Then to Sin City Prison.
Right.
Starvation Nation.
That's number 4.
The Red, White, and True Blue, which is actually my favorite. Then it jumps to Capsule 1, 2, and 3.
Okay, are you counting 1, 2, and 3 as part of the FEMA Camp series?
Yes, because all the characters, Imp's in it, Zach's in it, Francis is in it, Lynn's in it, and Pale Rider, she's in it. That's right. Just those 5.
But I would imagine in 30 or whatever it is, No Hussein Guard.
What's that?
No Hussein Guard.
Well, it's in 3,300 years, it's not like anybody would think from the FEMA Camp 37s, although the basis of the FEMA Camp series is still there, the same for us.
Okay.
And there's kids and there's a colony that's out by Lake Mead that used to be a bunch of big people, and they've mutated, and they're named donks, and they're probably the favorite. I'm terrible at creating species of humans. I've got the Cuddies and the 4th Street Monster Squad. I've got the donks in Capsule, and they run across the scout. They run across free America, and then off the adventure goes. And
Okay.
She took it from there. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's sad. I'll make you cry several places.
I do.
I'm notorious for killing off characters, man.
Oh yeah, but I would warn readers who haven't read things. While it is good against evil, that doesn't mean the good guys don't sometimes die. So.
Yeah, they pay a price. Everybody pays a price.
Yep. But a lot of bad people do, because there's a lot of evil to get rid of. When we were doing some emailing backwards and forwards recently, you mentioned something that the FEMA Camp series is surrounded by a male president, kind of thinly disguised, I would say. But you also mentioned that the president that takes over from him was not really mentioned in any detail, but you did kind of mention some about it, and it was another male. And of course, we have just voted another male president to replace the current guy in the White House.
Well, I was hoping. I a lot when the FEMA Camp series was being written, there was a lot of strong talk about Obama wanting a third term, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to put his name in there because I've already had enough problems with the government on some of this writing stuff to some extent. So I wasn't sure, but certainly back then I didn't think it would be Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. But I'll go on the record, and I know I can speak for you. We both kind of knew around June or July that something was up.
Oh, yeah.
I went on the record on that, and so did you. And
yeah.
Even I was with you tonight, Tuesday night, and when you signed off, we still weren't sure, but it was looking good.
Right.
And now he's there, and I think it's going to be a collision of cultures and beliefs, and this country is pretty well divided. So I don't know. You know, you got all these riots that are going on. We had a march protest here at Trump Tower in Las Vegas, and they're still down there. What are they going to do this for the next 4 years? And I think people will start getting a little uptight about it. So I don't really know, but the same beliefs that are in the FEMA Camp series will work for whoever's there. I mean, they'll just be using the FEMA Camp to lock up people rioting. But the premise of the FEMA Camp was the riots were caused by the dollar crash and the lack of food. And you're seeing that in Venezuela right now. I mean, let's face it, eggs cost $150 for a dozen if you can find them.
Mm-hmm.
What if that happens here? And food's an excellent weapon. Boy, you'll fall around in line once that tummy starts hurting.
Well, I have to admit, I've been unfaithful recently and been reading other books, and I've been reading a few of what I would call the prepper type, end of the world as we know it, and so it can be an EMP or it could be this or that, and just the stories, and that's even worse than just things going wrong. That's really where civilization almost collapses.
Well, that's what happens in the Worm Club. The worms. They not only blow up Hoover Dam, they set off an EMP, and 20 years later, the nation is still not right.
Right.
So
yep.
that was written a while back. So that's what I say. I think we're just one really bad thing away from happening, and in Happy Ebola Day, it gets the whole nation. So it just came in, and back then when Marsha wrote that, we were just hearing about the Ebola virus. It was pretty shrewd of her to use that as the ultimate weapon. Be worse than a nuclear bomb if she's right. So.
Well, and even
I went with it. I was just looking for a way to explain the FEMA Camp series, because the FEMA Camp series it starts out about 6 years. FEMA Camp 37 from this year, and people are getting locked up right and left of right. Stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it could be an EMP. It could be something like Ebola or another pandemic, and that's one of the other books I've read, that if there is a really strong flu or something like that, everything will collapse, because at a certain point people don't want to come in contact with other people, so the truck drivers are not going to be driving. And
they're talking about the things in what happened in Nice in France, and just think if you had just one Timothy McVeigh bomb hidden away down there on the strip of New Year's Eve. Let's not talk about anything else, just that alone. There's going to be a heck of a lot more than, there'll be tens of thousands of people just from the glass and those towers and stuff. So it was a pretty, it's a pretty scary book, but it's just a story.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, we need to take one more short break, Rex, so if you'll hang on there, I'm going to put you back on mute. I'm going to play a commercial, and then we'll be into the final segment of the show, and we'll round off this this repeat of a live, but doing a live interview again after, I don't know, 2 or 3 years. It's been a long while. It's nice to do it. But anyway, commercial time, and I'll be back.
Hello, Americans. It's Uncle Sam here. If you owe $10,000 or more on your federal or state income taxes, I've got important news that may help you negotiate a lower tax bill. The IRS, with their Fresh Start initiative, is offering more flexible terms to Americans looking to settle their IRS debt. They can help you lift your wage garnishments, stop bank levies, and put your tax problem behind you once and for all. If you owe tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to the IRS or state, our team of tax professionals can resolve your case and stop collection actions against you. Even if you've been audited or haven't filed a return in years, we can help. Call right now and find out if you qualify to settle your debt for far less than what you owe. 800-357-8110. 800-357-8110. 800-357-8110. 800-357-8110.
The offer of a franchise can only be made through delivery of a franchise disclosure document. Imagine yourself being a leader in America's fastest growing demographic category. More than 10,000 people a day turn 65, and a large percentage are going to need a helping hand at home or in choosing the right assisted living community. Always Best Care is looking for people who've excelled at everything they've done, but they're seeking a new challenge. Always Best Care is one of the fastest growing companies in this explosive field. We're looking for 25 new franchisees to keep our booming business growing. We'll back you up with the strongest award-winning marketing program in the industry, and we'll provide the special training and support that's fueled our growth to prepare you for this great opportunity. All that's missing is you. Call Always Best Care toll-free at 1-800-643-7508. That's 1-800-643-7508. For Always Best Care, 1-800-643-7508. Call today.
You're listening to Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio, broadcast on the internet, and also available at archives.patrickcomelately.us, a proud member of the Red Nation Rising Radio Network. And here we are, we're into the final few minutes of the show. It has been a lot of fun tonight. We've had Rex Riepe on, author of a number of books, including the FEMA Camp series, Capsule, the Arcs from Heaven, Staff of Joe, tons of books there, Rex. But you said you're still working on a few more.
Oh, there's never had no writer's block, that's for sure.
Okay. Well, that's
got a lot of stories coming down the line. I should have 2 out by Inauguration Day.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be keeping an eye on Trump, but I think he's going to be okay.
Well, I
all the
like to
people.
say, I've said on the show before now, even if he only does half of what he promised, we'll still be 100% better off than with Hillary. And even if he did nothing that he promised, we'd still be, 30% ahead of having her.
He's got a tough road to hoe, and he's not going to get any help from Obama or any of those other. Half the country's like confused, and the other half know exactly what needs to be done, and we're just lucky we got one more shot at it. Whether he can pull it off or not, I hope everything goes well. Certainly do, because that means I'll be able to sell books longer. But
right.
Man, I'm already seeing attacks on him, man, and you'd think they would back off a little bit. I mean, he's not even president. You're accusing him of stuff. So.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see.
We're gonna need your show a lot more now than the past. The last few years I've known you. I think they're a rough ride, but I think it might. We're at least good training. I think we're in for a little bit rougher ride, just because.
Maybe not. We'll keep our fingers crossed. Rex, just a reminder for listeners, especially people who don't know your books. I mentioned earlier you can get them obviously at Amazon, either in Kindle or hard copy format. Any other outlets where you can get your books, or is it just Amazon?
There's a ton of bookstores carrying them from all over. What I do is I just Google Riepe or Marsha Riepe, and usually that's 10 pages, and I'll say, oh, here's somebody that's talking about this book, and they're over in Britain, and it's a bookstore or it's a book buying website. But on Amazon, you just search R.E. Riepe or Marsha Riepe. Either way, it'll take you to them all. Or 4th Street Monster Squad still selling. I mean, they're all doing well. I don't have no complaint. I could just figure out how to promote, and I'm learning that. That's a process that will take you a year or two if you're an indie publisher. So and I've been learning.
Well, I hate to cut you off, but it's.
Hey, don't be a stranger, man.
No, like I said, I've still got that plan to get out to Sin City and stop by and see you, because that's probably the main thing. Like I said, that gun thing is the other, but the time tonight has almost run out. The music is about to start, so thanks Rex for coming, and thanks for listening. Being a regular listener in the show, really appreciate
your words
that.
are far too kind. Your words are far too kind. You're a good friend.
Okay, bye. And TTFN to everybody else as well. Join me next week. Won't have an interview, but we'll go back to some political discussions there. Thank you for listening to the show. I hope that you enjoyed tonight's topics. Whether you listened live, to a recording, or to a rebroadcast, I appreciate the time you share with me. We need to spread the message of liberty far and wide, so please tell your friends and family about the show. Thank you for helping to keep the beacon of hope burning. This is Stefan, your Patrick Come Lately, signing off. God bless America, and remember, L3, long live liberty.